There's a reason you feel lost sometimes. A reason you wake up and wonder, is this all there is? A reason you keep chasing distractions, jobs, relationships, and still feel empty. The truth, you were born with a purpose, but you forgot it. Not because you were careless, not because you're weak. You forgot it because the world taught you to forget. From the moment you entered this world, your soul knew exactly what it came here to do. But then, school, society, expectations, fear, they all began to whisper louder than your inner voice. And slowly, the light inside began to dim. You were born to do something only you can do. A mission, a calling, a divine assignment, planted deep in the soil of your heart. But like many seeds, it got buried under noise, under trauma, under realism. And now you walk around like a ghost in your own life, haunted by the feeling that something is missing. Let me tell you a story. There once was a boy who loved to build things. He could take scraps from the alley and construct what looked like miracles. He didn't care for toys. He made his own. His parents smiled, amused. "That's cute," they said, "but you'll need a real job someday." And so, he listened. He went to school, memorized, passed tests. He became an accountant, safe, stable, acceptable. Morning, he looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. Not because of age, not because of stress, but because the man in the mirror had killed the boy who loved to build and replaced him with someone who had forgotten. This isn't just a story, it's a pattern. It's your story, it's my story, it's the story of millions. People who traded passion for permission and purpose for paychecks. We forgot what made us come alive, and worse, we started to believe that's just how life is. But let me tell you something Napoleon Hill understood deeply, and what few ever grasp. Success has nothing to do with luck. It has everything to do with alignment. Alignment between your soul's purpose and your daily actions. You see, purpose is not a nice idea. It's not a luxury for monks and philosophers. It's oxygen. Without it, you can survive but you can't live. And that's why most people feel dead inside. Think about it. How many people do you know who drag themselves out of bed, commute to a job they despise, spend 8 hours doing what numbs them, come home to Netflix and regrets, and repeat? How many people laugh without joy, scroll without meaning, and live without living? They haven't failed, they've simply forgotten. But here's the beautiful truth. What is forgotten can be remembered, and today might just be the beginning of your remembering. Do you know what the most powerful force in the universe is? It's not money. It's not status. It's a human being fully aligned with their purpose. When you are on fire with clarity, when your soul and your schedule finally agree, you become unbreakable. You don't chase motivation, you become the source of it. You don't wait for opportunity, you create it. You don't ask, "Can I?" You declare, "Watch me." But how do you remember your purpose? It starts with a question most people are too afraid to ask. What if I've been living someone else's dream this whole time? Think about it. Whose voice do you hear in your head when you feel fear? Whose expectations are you trying to meet when you say yes but mean no? Whose approval are you still chasing when you make decisions? You were born whole, complete, wired with intuition, clarity, genius. But layer by layer, the world added its own programming. And now, most people are walking computers, running outdated software. Napoleon Hill called it the hypnotic rhythm. A silent force that makes failure feel normal, he warned. If you don't deliberately choose your thoughts, your mind becomes a slave to whatever enters it. You begin to drift, and drift long enough, and you forget. But Hill didn't stop there. He also gave the formula to reclaim your mind, and it starts with one word: definiteness. You must become definite in purpose, decisive in thought, disciplined in action. Because here's the reality. Your purpose is not found, it's remembered through action. You don't sit under a tree and wait for lightning. You get your hands dirty. You explore, you try, you fail. And through the doing, you start to feel again, and feeling is the compass. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If time and money weren't an issue, what would you really do? What kind of life would you live? If you weren't afraid, what impact would you want to leave behind? Don't dismiss these questions. They are sacred keys, because your answers are whispers from your purpose, and when you ignore them, your soul aches. So many people think the path to success is outside of them. They chase courses, mentors, systems, and tools, all of which are useful, but none of it matters. If you're climbing the wrong mountain, success without purpose is the ultimate failure. You weren't put here to blend in. You weren't put here to shrink. You weren't designed to follow. You were designed to remember. There's a reason certain ideas keep haunting you, a reason your heart jumps when you hear someone speak truth, a reason you cry for no reason when something deep touches you. It's not weakness, it's your soul trying to wake you up. Purpose doesn't yell, it whispers, and if your life is too loud, you'll never hear it. You need silence, you need stillness, you need space to hear your own truth again. That's why Hill said, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But most people never pause long enough to conceive what they really want. And without belief, desire becomes dust. Listen to me closely. You are not here by accident. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. To remember. The hunger you feel, that dissatisfaction, It's not failure. It's a signal. It's your soul reminding you, we came here for more than this. But here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Remembering your purpose is painful because it will require you to let go of the life you built on FORGET, It will challenge your friendships. It will disrupt your routine. It will break your false comfort. But what you lose in stability, you gain in fire. And once that fire is lit, the world will never put it out. You were never meant to live a lukewarm life. You were born for immersion, for depth, for impact. Yet look around, most people are paddling in the shallow end of their potential, terrified of diving deep. Why? Because purpose requires sacrifice, and the greatest sacrifice of all is who you thought you had to be. The mask, the persona, the identity crafted from fear and social approval, the version of you that others accept, but you secretly resent. Let me tell you something that may sting at first. You cannot become who you were born to be, and remain who you've always been. There is no growth without death, and to remember your purpose, you must allow old parts of you to die. Comfort must die. Excuses must die. Entitlement must die. Only then can greatness be born. There's a myth that finding your purpose makes life easier. No, it makes life worth it. When you live on purpose, life won't get easier. You'll just get stronger. Every storm becomes training. Every setback becomes feedback. Every obstacle becomes fuel. Napoleon Hill once said, every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. But seeds only grow in the right soil, and the soil of purpose is persistence. You must persist in becoming the version of you that was born, not built. The real you, the pure you, the courageous you. Think of the people who changed the world. Not the ones with money or power, but the ones who lived with conviction. Martin Luther King Jr. Helen Keller, Thomas Edison, Rosa Parks. These were not lucky people. These were people who heard their inner calling louder than the world's noise. They remembered, and they refused to forget again. Now, let me speak directly to you. Deep down, you already know what you need to do. You already know the decision that's been tugging at your heart. You already know the leap you've been delaying. So why haven't you done it? Fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of losing what's familiar. Let me ask you this. What's more terrifying? The fear of stepping into your purpose, or the regret of never trying? Because here's what nobody talks about. There is no safety in the familiar. Comfort zones are not safe zones. They're cages. And the longer you stay, the more you forget how to fly. Purpose doesn't exist in theory. It's not something you write down on paper. Purpose lives in practice. It lives in the moment. You choose faith over fear. In the moment you wake up early, when you could sleep in. In the moment you say no to the old you, and yes to the new. You don't find your purpose. You become it. Every choice is a brick. Every day is construction. And over time, you build a life that once only lived in your imagination. But understand this. You will be tested. The moment you move toward purpose, resistance will rise. That's not a sign to quit. It's a sign you're getting closer. Your old life will fight to survive. The people who knew the old you will question the new you. Your doubts will scream louder than ever, but stay the course. Because the version of you, on the other side of this battle, is the one who was born to win. Now, let's go deeper. Purpose is not a job. It's not a career. It's not a career. It's a state of being. It's the alignment between who you are, what you do, and why you do it. If your work doesn't light you up, it's a clue. If your relationships drain your spirit, it's a clue. If your habits contradict your goals, it's a clue. And when you start paying attention to those clues, the universe responds. Doors open. People show up. Resources appear. Not because life is magical, but because purpose is magnetic. It draws to you what you need, only after you commit. Napoleon Hill called it definiteness of purpose. He didn't say vagueness of hope or maybe of desire. He said, because when you become definite, you become dangerous. You move differently. You speak differently. You think differently. You start leading your life instead of reacting to it. That's when the shift happens. That's when the fog lifts. When you remember, let me share something vulnerable. There was a time in my life where I was making money, hitting goals, and achieving success. But inside, I felt hollow. I was winning the game, but playing the wrong one, and that's a pain few talk about. Succeeding at something that doesn't matter to you. Until one night I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning, and a quiet voice whispered, "You weren't born for this?" It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud, but it was real, and it shook me. That night, I realized something profound. Purpose doesn't compete with your logic. It challenges it. It doesn't make sense. It makes you come alive. And from that moment, everything changed. Not overnight, but step by step. I started creating what felt aligned. I said no to what drained me. I let go of people who only loved the version of me that was convenient. And guess what? It was terrifying, but it was also the beginning of true freedom. You might be at that same edge right now, standing between the life you built by default and the life you were born to build by design. That's not a small moment. That's a sacred crossroads. And what you do next will echo for the rest of your life. So ask yourself right now, who would I be if I remembered my purpose? Close your eyes. Picture that version of you. What do they do? How do they walk? How do they think? What do they tolerate? What do they no longer apologize for? That version of you isn't a fantasy, it's a memory. A forgotten part of you that's been waiting patiently for you to come home. And all it takes is a decision. The moment you decide, no more living in forgetfulness. The moment you declare, I will remember who I am. Everything begins to shift. Because the truth is, you've never truly lost your purpose. You've only buried it, and buried things can be dug up, they can be restored, they can rise again. You just have to be willing to remember. Most people think the graveyard is filled with death, but it's not just bodies that rest there, it's dreams. Ideas, songs never sung, books never written, businesses never started, lives never lived, because people were too afraid to remember who they were, too afraid to claim their assignment, too afraid to live on purpose. And that's the true tragedy, not failure but forgetting. Let that settle. The greatest failure is not falling. It's never flying at all. It's spending 80 years walking when you were born with wings, and those wings, they're still there, folded, dormant, dusty, but they still work. What if I told you that the version of you who knows their purpose already exists? Not in some distant future, but in the now, in the realm of potential, in the space between fear and faith, and all that's required is that you choose to step into that version. You see, purpose doesn't reveal itself to the timid, it reveals itself to the committed. You must decide. I am done playing small. I am done with amnesia. I am done letting society write my script. That decision is your resurrection. That decision is your revolution. But here's the hard truth. Living your purpose will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you approval. It will cost you your old self. But what you gain is so much greater. You gain clarity. You gain joy. You gain impact. You gain yourself, and that's priceless. Napoleon Hill spoke often of the mastermind, the invisible network of minds aligned in purpose, collaborating toward a definite goal. That's not just a business idea, it's a soul idea. When you walk in your purpose, the universe will align you with people on the same path. You'll attract mentors, allies, resources, and even divine coincidences, because your frequency changes. You stop operating from fear and start operating from flow. Suddenly, what once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable, not because the world changed, but because you did. You must understand, you are not a product of your past. You are a product of your decisions, and the decision to remember. Your purpose is the most powerful one you will ever make. Let me tell you a truth. Most people never hear. Your pain is not a punishment, it's preparation. Your struggles weren't random, they were shaping you. That heartbreak, that failure, that betrayal, it all forged a steel within you. You were being prepared for something greater. Something sacred, something only you can do. Purpose is not about being the best. It's about being you, fully, unapologetically, courageously, because there is no competition in authenticity. No one can beat you at being you and your story. Even the messy parts, especially the messy parts. That's your gift. That's your medicine. That's what someone else needs to hear to heal. But if you stay silent, if you stay small, the world misses out. Think about that. The world is waiting on the version of you who remembers, the version who shows up and says, I may not have it all figured out, but I'm moving forward anyway. That's power. That's purpose in motion. You want to know why so many people feel numb? Why? They wake up dreading their days. Why they need noise, food, screens, substances, just to feel alive. Because they've detached from their purpose. And when you unplug from purpose, life becomes a dull routine of survival. But purpose is the switch. It turns everything back on. Suddenly, you walk into rooms with presence. You speak with conviction. You create with joy. You love with depth. You live, and people notice. Not because you're perfect, but because you're aligned. There's a fire in your eyes, a certainty in your step, a light in your voice, and all of that comes from one thing: remembering who you are. Let's go even deeper. Your purpose isn't just about you, it's about legacy. There are people you haven't met yet, people who are waiting for what only you can give, your gift, your truth, your impact, but they can't receive it if you keep hiding. You think playing small protects you. It doesn't. It just postpones your power. The universe doesn't reward potential, it rewards action, and action begins the moment you say, I refuse to forget again. Repeat that to yourself. Say it until it becomes a vow. Because once you remember, once you awaken, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing validation. You stop begging for direction. You stop apologizing for your desires, and you start building. Creating. Serving. Impacting. That single quotes S. When life changes, that's when opportunities multiply. That's when doors open where walls once stood, because purpose isn't just internal, it's magnetic. It shifts your energy, your habits, your circle, and eventually, your world. But here's the final truth of this part. No one can remember for you, not your parents, not your coach, not your favorite motivational speaker. Only you can make that sacred decision to rise, to realign, to remember. And that decision, it's the starting line of a new life. One that's not built on noise, approval, and expectations, but on truth, conviction, and courage. So I ask you again, who are you really? Not the title, not the follower count, not the resume, but the soul. Essence. The original. Find that version. And when you do, don't let go again. You know what's tragic? That most people don't die when their heart stops, they die the moment they stop dreaming. And the world is filled with these walking dead people whose souls have been silenced by routines, rules, and regrets. But not you, because something inside you is still alive. Something inside you is stirring as you hear these words. Something inside you is whispering, I remember. Not everything, not the entire path, but a flicker, a glimpse, a sacred hint that yes, there's something more. That's not random, that's not imagination, that's truth trying to reach you. You see, your purpose isn't waiting on the other side of some massive breakthrough. It's been with you the whole time, hidden in plain sight, in your passions, in your curiosities, in your frustrations, in the things that make your heart beat faster and your eyes light up. And yet, the world trained you to dismiss those clues. Be realistic, grow up, play it safe. And in the name of responsibility, you abandon the response to your soul. But your soul has patience. It will wait, and wait, and wait, until one day, you finally listen again. And that day, that moment of remembrance changes everything. Napoleon Hill wrote, you are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. That's not just inspiration. That's law. You've been given the power to create. To rewrite. To realign. But power unused is power lost. And your purpose will remain dormant until you activate it. How? By choosing, by declaring, by taking even the smallest step in the direction of your truth. You don't need to leap today. Today, you just need to turn your head toward the light. Even the tiniest movement begins the awakening. Don't underestimate the power of small decisions, small actions, small habits. They don't just build success, they reveal purpose. Purpose isn't a destination, it's a rhythm. And when you live in that rhythm, you'll start to feel peace again, even in chaos. Have you ever done something that made time disappear? Where hours felt like minutes? Where you were so present, so alive, so engaged, that you forgot to worry? That's not coincidence, that's your soul speaking. Follow that thread, follow the flow. Because the deeper you go, the more you'll remember who you are. And here's what most people miss. You don't need to quit your job, move to Bali, or delete everything to live on purpose. Purpose starts where you are, with what you have, and who you are becoming. Maybe your job isn't your calling, but your discipline in it can sharpen you. Maybe your surroundings aren't ideal, but your mindset can begin to shift. Maybe your life feels ordinary, but your soul is extraordinary. And the moment you shift from waiting to walking, from postponing to pursuing, purpose reveals itself. But that takes courage. Courage to question the narrative. Courage to rewrite the script. Courage to stand alone in your truth until others catch up. The masses won't understand. They will mock your hunger. They will belittle your dreams. They will try to convince you that what you feel isn't real. But remember this. Most people are too afraid to live, so they try to tame those who are brave enough. Don't shrink, don't fold. Don't dim your light just because it makes others uncomfortable. Your light is not a threat, it's a beacon. For someone, your courage will be the permission they've been waiting for. For someone, your decision to rise will be the ripple that lifts their entire life. So rise. Not for applause, not for validation, but because your soul can no longer sit in silence. You've waited long enough, you've played small long enough, you've let fear drive the car long enough. Now it's your turn, to drive, to lead, to awaken. And here's the miracle. When you move with purpose, you move mountains. Not just for you, but for generations to come, your children, your community, the world. Because purpose is never personal, it's generational. You breaking the cycle isn't just for your healing. It's for the healing of everyone who comes after you. You choosing courage over conformity isn't just about success, it's about significance. And that's the difference. Success ends with you. Significance continues long after you're gone. So which will you choose? The path of forgetfulness, paved in comfort, crowded with the average. Or the path of remembrance, steep, narrow, glorious, but true. Only you can decide. Only you can rise. Only you can remember. But once you do, nothing will ever be the same again. Because the day you remember who you are is the day the world begins to change.